I just made some little bags for the volunteers because it's National Volunteer Week. I'm in a rush because I have a volunteer interview and then I need to get to actual volunteering, but still gotta eat. Even when you're in a rush, you gotta eat. Miraculously, I've made it on time to volunteering. So I'll be here for 2.5 hours and then hopefully I'll get a chance to record and say something about eating disorders, I guess. Anyway, I'll be back soon. Finished! And I didn't get a ticket on the car! Yay! Okay, I'm gonna go home now. That was actually 2.5 hours, so anyway, home time. So I'm just gonna start preparing dinner because, well, it's not dinner time yet, it's only, it's too early for dinner right now, but I'm gonna start preparing it now anyway. So we're gonna have burgers for dinner, so buns, and then I'm just gonna prepare some potatoes for some wedges. So for this video I thought I'd just share some life updates or something. I don't know. My dad is upstairs, hopefully he's not listening because that's awkward. So nothing much has been happening except I haven't posted for a few weeks because I just had too much to do with studying and volunteering, and I decided that I can't do everything, so I'll just take a break from recording videos for a while. And I didn't have too much to say anyway. One thing I had been thinking about recently is like socializing and eating disorders, and particularly like social anxiety or feeling anxious in social situations and eating disorders, because throughout my life, like group social situations in particular, well, like most such social situations, just make me quite anxious, and I think I felt like my eating disorder was sort of a way to cope with that. I guess I thought being worried about the food meant that I was going to be less worried about what people thought of me or screwing up in a social situation, and I also thought that it would be better to not eat food because then that eliminates like the risk of screwing up, if that makes sense. Like there's less obstacles to contend with if I don't eat in social situations, because then I'm like not going to get into an awkward situation with someone talking to me when my mouth is full, or like me accidentally choking on something, or just all these different situations that could come about if I eat food and then end up embarrassing myself. Whereas if I just focus on doing the talking and the normal talking and listening part, then I can do that. But throwing eating into the mix is just too hard, and to some extent I still struggle with eating in social situations, like with like finger food or like big group gatherings where there's like food that you help yourself to, and I just feel quite awkward about that sometimes when there's like no structure. Like yeah, I do still sort of find that a little bit tricky sometimes, because I still do get anxious in social situations. But I did want to say that my eating disorder like absolutely did not help with easing my anxiety in social situations. Like, it did not help with socializing at all. It didn't work out that it did not work out that I would be anxious about the food and then not anxious about socializing. It just meant that I was anxious about both things happening rather than one or the other. It just compounded the feelings of anxiousness. So I was anxious about socializing and I was anxious about like eating but screwing up and doing something embarrassing, and then also anxious about like the calories in the food and what they were going to serve, and what if someone like force fed me food, which never happened. But for some reason I would think that I always had to restrict my food before social events, just like because I was going to eat so much at this social event, even though then that never happened. So I don't have a problem anymore with like that, with the restriction aspect before social events. It's just like eating at social events and not getting like super anxious about other people judging me. I still find that kind of hard because I think that's just throughout my life, like prior to my eating disorder getting bad, that's just been something that has made me anxious. But the reason that I was thinking about this recently is because I've been in a few social situations that in the past have made me super anxious about the food. Like, so I posted that a while back I went to a wedding, and in the past I would have been so anxious about that. Like, what food are they going to serve? Is it going to be enough? Like, what if it's too much? What if it's not enough? What if I have to eat more when I get home? Blah, blah, blah. And because I was staying with my partner, I'd be like, oh, what if he judges me for not being full? Which at the wedding, like, the food was nice, but neither of us were full, and we ate like ice cream and popcorn afterwards. But it like wasn't a big deal, and in general, and yeah, so like this time, so in the past I would have been super anxious about all that. And this time I definitely was not anxious about the food. Like, I think I showed you, like, I had a burger beforehand and chips. I'm gonna put some onion powder on this just because why not? And yeah, so I wasn't anxious about the food, but I was really anxious about socializing because these are my partner's friends and people I don't know very well, and he was going to be busy being involved in helping the bridal party and the groom and all that stuff, so I was quite nervous about that and like what to wear, and yeah, it had me a bit anxious. And a lot of oil is needed. Okay. That will start us off. I do not like getting oil on my hands. It's really hard to get off. yeah, so I was just reflecting on that and how awesome it was to not be anxious about the food anymore. So yeah, so when I was in my eating disorder, I thought that if I wasn't anxious about food, I would just be like way more anxious about socializing, which I guess in a way is true, in that like I wasn't anxious about the food, I was just anxious about socializing. But I wouldn't say that it was more than during my eating disorder, because during my eating disorder I'm pretty sure I was just anxious about both socializing and eating the food. So recovery is good for that reason, to not worry about food. Also going to chop up some onion, because I'll fry some onion, caramelize it to go on the burgers, and then also prepare some salady stuff as well. So, and I also read some studies about social anxiety and eating disorders as well, and I don't know if I do have social anxiety, I just know that I get anxious before socializing and afterwards as well, and during. So social anxiety is pretty common among eating disorder sufferers, and it usually precedes the eating disorder onset, which I found quite interesting. And I read like 4 studies, and generally they found that the social anxiety got better, like it was less severe when people recovered from their eating disorders, or when they were in recovery, compared to during their eating disorder when social anxiety was the worst. So there you go. It's not just my opinions, backed up by research. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what I was thinking about recently. And other than that, I mean, my eating disorder is just not really around much at all, and like I don't really think about it very much. It's just, yeah, like I don't really listen to eating disorder podcasts anymore, or vlogs. Sometimes I will, but really not that often, and way less frequently than previously. I think for a while my eating disorder left a hole in my life where I wasn't sure what I was going to do, what I was going to fill it with, but then over time it's pretty naturally just filled in with other things, and I like people, relationships, connections, and studying and volunteering and all this other stuff, new ideas. Like my creativity is so much, like I have so much more creativity and flexibility now than during my eating disorder, which is so nice, and I think that I'm a nicer person to be around as well. Like I'm way less rigid. Like I went on tree adventures with my sister, which was really fun, and like high ropes, and during my eating disorder I think I would have really dreaded that, because I would have been super hungry the whole time, and that just makes any experience awful. And I always wanted to be around food like that I would find comforting, and on a high ropes course you're not anywhere near food, but like yeah, now it just doesn't bother me, and I was really excited to do the course and try something different, and same with ziplining earlier in the year with my partner, and so that's really cool. I really like that flexibility that comes with recovery and being more easygoing, more open-minded, so yeah. An avocado! Let's hope it's a good one because it's the only one left. Okay, so this video is getting too long, I can see from the timer, and I don't want to spend ages editing and looking at myself. But other life updates aside from the eating disorder, I suppose, it's just been, like working very hard on my PhD because I really want to submit my thesis by December this year. I mean, it's fine if I don't. I have another half year where I could work on it and still be paid like a stipend for my scholarship, but the past year and a half has been kind of rough for reasons I won't get into, because I don't want to ruin my job prospects, but some of you have probably gathered from my videos that some things have been quite difficult. I love the research, don't get me wrong, I love the research, I love reading papers, I love writing, I love interacting with participants, I love pretty much everything that research entails, but there's been some difficult aspects that I'm kind of ready to leave behind, so I'm not sure what the next step will be, but I'm just focusing on the first step, which is to get another paper out, write my thesis, submit it. It's a lot of big steps first. I did manage to publish a paper though, which was my first paper ever, and I'm in my third and final year of my PhD, so it felt like that took longer than I wanted it to, but that's alright. That's the way life goes, that's what science is like. Things don't run to plan, obviously, because in science you're always trying new things, so things just do not ever really go to plan. I'm eating this bit of the tomato because I don't want to serve it up, because some people don't like it, but I think it's fine. We always get these baby ones, and I don't really know why, but we do. They're so tiny. Where's the camera? Oh, there it is. They're so tiny. So I've prepared most of the salad-y stuff now. I'll show you. So I won't cut the avocado yet because obviously it will go brown, and so I'll just wait. So I think those are my main things that I had to say. I need to go do some social media stuff, my volunteering, charity work stuff, and also do some work for my PhD because I've done remarkably little today, considering that I woke up at 10 this morning on a Monday. My body needed rest, what are you gonna do? So might as well make use of the benefits of the student life while I can, right? I don't usually sleep that late though. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna go do that social media stuff, do some studying, and eat a snack and have a shower, and then I will show you the final version of dinner when it's done. So if I don't say anything else, then thank you so much for watching, and I'm sending you lots of love, and sorry that I haven't replied to many of my Instagram DMs recently. I will get around to that. I just get very anxious about doing it, I'm sorry, but I will do it. I will. Okay, sending you lots of love and take care. Bye.
I think so. White or red?